So welcome to one of the most anticipated sessions of this Global Construction Project Manager Conference. So as we see, construction is changing faster than ever. New technologies, new delivery model, new expectations. So in this panel, we brought together 4 exceptional professionals to help us cut through the noise and shed light on where our profession is heading. The future and emerging trends of the project management in construction. So let me introduce our expert. First, we have Clarissa Dubon, architect, certified in sustainability consultant, and being project manager with an MBA and PMI background. Clarissa leads real estate projects that integrate sustainability, operational efficiency, and purpose-driven innovation at every stage of development. Could you hear me? Is everything fine? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I can hear you very well.
Okay. So next one will be Dr. Alexander Matthey, Senior Executive in Enterprise Portfolio Governance and PMO Transformation with over 20 years governing large-scale infrastructures, energy, and digital programs across sovereign and regulated environments. Alexander brings the board-level multi-billion-dollar perspective on how delivery systems are evolving. Our third expert, Levan Tsurtsumia, civil engineer and infrastructure project leader, and a specialist in FIDIC contracts, claims, and project controls. Levan has delivered complex waste roads, and municipal infrastructure projects under international frameworks with deep expertise in risk management, contract administration, and dispute avoidance. And finally, we have Mohd Imran, a senior project manager with 24 years of global experience delivering mega projects across airport infrastructures, high-rise, and EPC sectors. From the neon aquaculture hatchery to Expo 2020 pavilions, Imran brings the front line of giga-scale sustainability-driven delivery. So let me give a warm welcome to our expert.
Thank you.
Welcome for. I see you are here, everyone. So no surprises for this evening. So but it's fine for me. So before we move to the discussion, I would like to give each of our experts a few minutes to share how they see the future and the trends shaping our sector from their own expertise and field of expertise and experience. So we will have 5-6 minutes each one. Let's start with Clarissa, please.
Okay, sure, no problem. And thank you very much for this opportunity. So let me tell you, when people think about construction, project management, they usually think about schedules, budgets, contracts, and execution on site. But I like to start somewhere different from my experience here in Latin America. We missed an important item in construction project. It is about permissions. So in many cities around the world, projects don't begin when construction starts. They usually begin when someone submits a permit. From initiating and to controlling. So, and also the closing phase of project has an interesting relationship with the permissions. So, the permit many times takes a lot of months, and not because the engineering has issues or difficulties, many times because the design is incomplete. So, um, in this session, I would like to be focused on this role of project manager to, with the AI support, it will be more handling to manage, not alone a project. It's about manage AI systems, focus on these permissions. When we control the stakeholders, when we have technical discussions with government, and that's the reason for my experience working with the government permitting systems in Latin America. I have learned something very important. The biggest delays in construction are often managing problems, not in engineering problems. So this experience has completely changed the way I see the future of project management. We we have to be focused on AI support as a system management. I mean, controlling all these portfolio projects as a system. That's my experience. Thanks.
Thank you, Clarissa. So now I would like to pass the voice to Alexander. Thank you very much again. Alexander, your mic. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Super.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much to be here.
My pleasure. And I greet all the participants and especially the organizers. And thank you very much for inviting me as well. As we all know, the profession is called an accidental in the project management in general. For me, the construction project management is a way accidental, and it is mainly due to the fact that I started my career in Switzerland, and I worked quite a number of years, about 20 something years, and then I moved to the Middle East, where I am for the last 17, 18 years. And in here, a lot of projects, they have a very strong connotation of mega projects, or in the case of NEOM, that I'm finishing now, is even a giga project. So the perspective which I'm bringing and I will be discussing, and what I developed for myself in my whole career, is what is common between all the different types of project management, which was a tertiary industry first for me. Then later it became in here more, construction. It's quite different. So the life cycles are different, the project management approach is different, but there is a lot of common things in between. And especially if you are in IT, and I worked many years in the service industry, so I could not even say that I'm from one sector, because even within IT and software development, and later it was ERP installation, when I count all the different sectors and industries I worked on, is closer to 18 today than 3 or 4 or 6 or 10. So with that, what I realized, what is common in between, the common threads are 3 for me, which crystallized. Is first is there's always success which is based on governance. And then I'm now bouncing back on what was already discussed today, not governance as control, but more like allowing informed decision making. So governance for me represents a very important pillar for the success of a project, and especially on mega projects you need more structure, and that is obtained by the application with all the details which I would consider details like processes and escalations and defining authority levels and so on. Many other things which contribute to that, to move forward well. The second pillar for me is the organization itself, and more specifically, a mature organization. And in that aspect, we are now knocking at the door of Spain, and I know that with Galicia we are quite close. There is a good acquaintance of mine, not I wouldn't say friend, but Antonio Nieto, who works a lot on the project-driven organization. And this is what I realized, that maturity, a high level of maturity is reached today in many organizations, and basically most of the companies, they do not do like 25, 30 years ago when I was learning project management. There is a stable state, and then suddenly there is some development disturbance, which is a project or a program, and then suddenly again it's stable. Now everything is constantly changing, so organizations are becoming project driven. So for me, that project-driven organization fact is an organizational change, or it's an organizational transition. We work totally differently. Most of the companies are not operational, although they have to produce something. The success depends very, very well on how they manage the change and the transition. And then there is something which sits on these two pillars, which are more or less vertical, and I would put like a hat, which is the soft skills. What really brings everything together and holds together is the people skills, the stakeholder management skills. And now I'm bouncing back on what was mentioned even a little bit earlier by Antonio regarding the mega project and building cathedrals. Without people being trained and engaged and understand what is happening, and I'm talking in here about people who are let's say, pulling in the same direction, from stakeholders to decision makers to budget owners to external people. If all of that is not orchestrated in a way which goes in the right direction, it falls apart. So success of the project, the third big pillar, is a very, very hard, a thoughtful, organized, orchestrated skills of develop based people management, basically. So these are the three things around which I have a lot of experience, and that crystallizes in what I do recently and I do now, and I continue doing, and I will be, if question asked, responding in that direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Now I will pass the micro to Levan. Are you ready, Levan?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Muchas gracias,
Thank you.
Ángel.
Thank
Greetings,
you.
everyone.
Gracias.
We have already discussed here about the BIM, about the AI, about the digital twins, and so on and so on. And we all know that the construction has already entered the new era, and this is artificial intelligence, this is BIM, this is Oracle, this is Oracle Cloud, and so on and so on. But unfortunately, yet still the major construction projects still experience delay, cost overruns, and disputes. So I want to bring one question on the table, and please feel free to comment in the chat sections your views, of course, about this. So if the technology is advancing so rapidly, why are the project outcomes not improving at the same pace? So quite intriguing, yes? So why on the one part, if it's rapidly advancing, on the second part, we are not catching up, maybe. So the thing is that the digital transformation requires digital leadership. And this is exactly where the PMI CP is coming in the game. So the construction is evolving. First it was traditional, then it was digital, then connected construction, then predictive construction. A lot of ways, a lot of differentiations, and the challenge nowadays is no longer the to collect the information itself. Now it's making the better decision from the information that we already have gained. It's like a saying that who owns the data owns the world, and it's like this. The same is in the project management, because the future project manager should become the, let's say, translator of the digital intelligence himself. And the PMICP was developed exactly for this, because it's specialized on the construction competencies like multiple stakeholders, like complex contracts, like safety environments, constantly changing environments, like increasing of the digitalization itself. And it focuses on the competencies rather than the software itself, and it's preparing the professionals to manage the complexity of it. It's also this PMICP, I mean, this certification. On the one side, it's we can say it's certification, but in reality, it's the mindset and it's the future of the construction, because it adopts the technology of the interface management, the scope management, change management, construction risk management, quality management, contract, and one of the main is the leadership engagement, because the technology becomes valuable only when it's supported by structured management practices. In the previous traditional project controls, we had to answer the questions or ask the questions. So what happened? Then after the evolution, today we are having the answer. So what is happening? But the future will be what will happen next. So we are going in this direction with the digitalization. So for example, AI-assisted schedule forecasting, the predictive cost analysis, the automated progress measurement, we all need earned value management, and we will have this in digital form as well. And with this, the project manager is shifting from reporting to a strategic decision maker. So we are evolving from coordinator to controller, then to integrator, and the final, let's say, at the moment, destination is the digital construction leader. For that, PMI also has a very good courses. It's called Digital Construction Practitioner. Last week, I passed this courses. It's very intense, very interesting, and it's my direct recommendation, of course, to have a glance on it and to walk through this marvelous course. So we all know that in tomorrow's, let's say, this IE technology, have to combine all this that is given also in the BIM, the technology itself, the contract, the risk management, the communication, the leadership, the cloud, everything. This is giving us the BIM maturity levels, which is differentiated. I will not go into the details because it was already spoken in the beginning by other speakers, and we all know that technology is evolving, the softwares are becoming smarter, the artificial intelligence is taking the main tasks that we project managers don't like. This is a routine task. I think all agree with this. Thanks God now it's more or less automated, and it's going to the automation side as well. So PMICP, that's why for me is more than a certification. It's a framework to prepare the construction professionals for the digital future. I want to say, as currently in my country, first, and I will add, unfortunately, the only PMI CP and SCP credential holder, I believe that the future of the construction project management is not about choosing between the people and the technology. It's about the equipping the construction leaders like all of you to integrate BIM, digital twins, lean construction technology, with the contract management, stakeholder engagement, and the main leadership to deliver better project outcomes. Thank you.
Okay, Thank you. Thank you again, Levan. Now I will pass the word to our last expert, Mohd Imran. I see you here with us. So activate your micro, please. All yours.
Okay, thank you, PMI. Thank you, Agnel and organizing team for the opportunity to be part of the expert panel. And yes, well said, all the speakers. And I believe very less for me to introduce something new. Almost everything already have been said. I'll try to put my perspective in these scenarios. So when we talk about the trends and future of the construction project management, we often focus immediately on the AIs, the developing trend or the automation, the BIM digital twin, or the dashboards, sometimes also drones, by the way, robotics, and the data platform. So all of these are important, and definitely they are going to change the profession the way it is now. My view is slightly different in a way that the biggest change is not the technology, because it will keep on evolving over the time. But the biggest change will be how a construction project manager changes their perspective for the project. For many years, a large of project management in construction, it have been reactive. So what we do, we report the progress after it has happened. We update the delays after it has already affected their critical path, or we escalate the design issues when the problems have already disrupted the site execution. We prepare the claim when the commercial damages are already have been occurred. While in the future, this approach is not going to be sufficient. Now we have better digital tools. The expectations from project managers will shift from reporting to the past to anticipating the future. The project managers will be expected to identify the early warnings, to understand the risk trends, and also to compare the possible scenarios to help the stakeholders to make timely decisions before a problem becomes a major delay, a dispute, or more importantly, a cost overrun. So, in my opinion, the future construction PM should move from being a reporter, progress reporter, to becoming a decision making leader. Some activities will definitely become less valuable if they are still to be done manually, such as preparing the dashboards, repetitive reporting of progress, or the schedule comparisons, searching of the documents, summarizing the meeting notes, or the routine follow-ups. They will be supported through the automated technology. We have a lot of tools, we have a lot of methods how all these can be automized and can be done more quickly and efficiently. However, it does not mean the project manager becomes less important. The only thing is the project manager must operate at a higher level now, because all the tasks which were consuming a lot of time can be automated, and the project manager can utilize the information to become more effective. So the competencies that will become more critical are the judgment, your risk-based thinking, more contractual awareness, the understanding of your commercial aspect of the project, especially in this part of region. It's very critical when we talk about the authorities, when we talk about the stakeholders. So alignment of stakeholders is more critical, and
So it looks that Imran
the
has
design
some connection.
changes.
Now you are here again. You can continue.
We deal with the design changes, we deal with the changing design site conditions, authority approvals, the logistic, the productivity, and also one of the presentation, it was the health conditions of the workers, of course, and the safety requirements, and also the contractual obligations, which also falls under the law of the country. So the digital tool itself, it may help us to identify the problem earlier, but it cannot resolve the problem or a conflict between the client, consultant, or contractor, or subcontractors and authorities, unless a good leader is taking the lead. So this is where the leadership becomes more important than ever. The future project managers must be able to ask the right questions. What is the real risk for me? What is the impact of this specific element in terms of time and cost? Who is the decision maker here? Which authority, which stakeholder? what are the contractual consequences, and what evidences we need to get this work completed. What is the safest or the most practical solution? So these are the thought process which over the time project manager should invest more time and focus on it. For me, the most under invested skill in the construction project management as on today is a decision leadership. We often talk about communication, but the communication alone itself is not enough, because the real skill is to convert this information into agreement or disagreement, and from uncertainty to certainty, and pressurize into a clear project decisions. So changing from uncertainties to two black and white shots, that yes, the decision can be taken based on the information is available. So the technology can now show us the productivity is falling. It can show the approval is late. It can also show the design change may affect the critical path, but only leadership can align the people. They can manage the conflict. They can build the trust and move the project forward. So my suggestion for the new generation of construction managers, I believe industry must train them differently. We should not train them only to prepare schedules or reports or repetitive tasks such as checklist. We must expose them to real site conditions, the contracts, the claims, the procurement, commercial decisions. In addition to this, of course, knowing the digital tools, evolving with the dynamics of the world. So the future project manager should be not only a good planner or a good site engineer or a coordinator. It should also be a hybrid professional, technically aware, commercially alert, and digitally capable for taking the contractually consciousness in a strong leadership. So finally, I would say the AI and digital tools will not replace the construction project manager, but simply what they will do, they will expose the difference. The difference between the conventional project managers who only report the problems, or the project leaders who can predict, interpret, decide, influence, lead, and take the proper decisions. And this is to whom the future belongs. So this is my opinion on how the future trends will be. And thank you from my side. And I welcome the questions now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Imran. It has been a pleasure to hear all of you. Those were very powerful perspectives. So now let's move into the heart of the session. These are the questions. I will put few questions to our experts. And I would like to hear different viewpoints of each one. I will kindly ask to our expert not to take more than 2 minutes about to answer each question, so we can place a final question to everyone and to allow also the rest of the people to answer if they want. Okay. So let's start with the first question. I will take the same order we start, if you don't mind. So we will start with Clarissa, if you don't mind not to change, because if not, I think I will create a bit of mess. So the first question is, as artificial intelligence, automatization, and digital tools like BAM and digital twins mature, are going ahead, which core project manager competencies do you think will become obsolete and which will become more critical than ever for construction over the next 5 years?
Okay, yeah,
Clarissa?
for sure. Yeah, thank you, Angel. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thanks. So I don't believe project managers will disappear. I believe project management, the routine project management maybe will be the competencies that will gradually become obsolete are those centered on collecting information manually, producing repetitive reports, updating schedules by hand, also in manual dashboards, yeah, but or acting as the communication bridge between disconnected teams and also stakeholders. In government environments, we are focused on digital transformation. So the AI will increase this performance to task faster, more accurately, and continuously. AI can already identify schedule conflicts, detect risks from historical data. So I think the technology will become an excellent assistant and also bring the support that the PM needs. So the competencies that will become even more valuable are completely different. The project managers will need to become system thinkers. So change the mindset, and all this. Um, uh, the aptitudes will be focused on open mind to the system. Think about the portfolio or management. So we will need to integrate data coming from not only from BMI models, being models or digital twins, also transform all these systems in in-house platforms that all the stakeholders could be handled. So um, I think the project manager with AI support will shift from managing projects to managing systems, holding by the PMI methodology. Because AI can predict, but the project manager has to decide, make intelligent decisions. Thanks.
Thank you, Clarissa. Thank you. So, Alexander, do you want me to repeat the question, or
no, it's fine. Yeah, it is perfectly fine. Plus, there's so many things were said. I would just repeat one little thing, and then I would make a point, which is a little bit my view, is, of course, all repetitive things, reporting, schedule update. It was mentioned both by Levan and Mohammed. That will go for sure. Not entirely, but it will be automated. Now, once it's automated, project managers is freed up. So I see that as an opportunity for project managers. So basically, in the future, there won't be any conventional project managers as we understand today. It will be either program managers or portfolio managers. Obviously, they will be called project managers because companies, they don't want to pay, and there's many other implications. But basically, we are shifting the level at least to one step higher, if it's not even 2 steps higher. They have to facilitate strategic alignment and facilitate decision making. If they do not come with solutions, given the free time, given all the tools, honestly, what do they do in the future? Because the repetitive thing, I was being killed for many, many years doing these idiotic reports, in PowerPoint to chase people at midnight because the next day there is an ExCom meeting, and nobody was happy, and it was all half lie anyway. Now that would disappear, but they would, I'm pretty sure, and I'm expecting today from project managers to come up with intelligent thing. Now, Mohammed, you mentioned about communication. I didn't mean it as a simple communication. It's a first step in the interaction, because immediately communication is mainly one way. Then it will have to go to collaboration, which is parallel streams. So not only talking to each other, but working towards one goal. Then after a while, it becomes a co-creation when there is partial overlap. So there is an embedding in each other's organization or entities. So the co-creation is still different entities, but working towards the same goal at the same level, and not just exchanging info, but basically half merging. And at the very end, there is an absolute commitment for the success. And project managers are not going to be, or organizations are not going to be like separate. It will be a team putting together for the success, and there'll be a morphing and changing. It will be much more fluid in a way. I experienced it a little bit on my back. Every 2-3 years in the Middle East, they kicked me out from all these mega projects, pretending that it's finished. Nothing was finished. We just reached the milestone. It was very hard to be used to it when you come from Europe and you think that it's a profession and you have enough bread to eat, for 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years. It's 3 years maximum, and they say, thank you very much, great work. get lost, and then you need 4 or 5 months for the next gig, and until the work permits for persons are organized. Now, in the future, it will be a non-stop mosaic type of moving around, and people will be at a different level, and they better be mastering AI tools. But again, nothing is an AI-based success. It's not the holy grail. Especially, I look PMI since 2023. I try to follow the PMI trend and internal trading. They are all technical tools. It's all workflow automation, all that, nothing to do with facilitation. Okay, email writing, of course. There's a lot of positive thing, but nothing at the level where it should be, which will render our perennity. So thank you very much. That's for AI, and it kicks us up. It doesn't kick us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you. Levan, which core and project managers competencies do you think will become obsolete and which will become more critical than ever for construction over the next 5 years?
Thank you, Akal. Quite interesting question. You mentioned competencies. I think this is one of the main points that I would like to mention, because the competencies, from my perspective, will require the human judgment, and this is the most valuable that will become in the future, because the construction managers, the project managers, the PMOs, or whatever we'll call them, will need quite a strong capabilities to make a strategic decisions, because they will have all the data in front of them, and they have to filter it, to think, and to make a concrete decisions. This is the future. So I would like to repeat myself with PMI CP certification, because this is exactly what is the core competencies that are included already in the path and in the mindset of this certification. Thank you.
Good. So, thank you, Levan. Imran, do you have the question, or do you want me
Yes,
to
I have
repeat?
the question with me. And yes, I do agree with all the speakers. And then we have covered almost everything now, that all the tasks which can be automized, which is repetitive, they are going to be the lost competencies. Yes, as also I mentioned earlier, that the manual progress reporting or the basic dashboard preparations or the routine tasks, whichever can be assigned in a process, can be repeated and will go definitely over the time to AI or to the digital platforms. On the other side, yes, the competencies which are more critical will be the critical judgment, will be the risk forecasting, will also be the contractual awareness. And the most important thing is that how you bring the information to the level where it can be assistive for a decision making, because this is the most critical challenge what we face. For example, the projects what we do now in the region, there are always multiple stakeholders engaged in a certain situation, and they are not able to take a decision because of the board, or because there is no one, a single hand can take a decision, right? So it is also a sort of risk management where project management manager role comes in, need to be presenting the risk and the information at the level where it can assist the team or the stakeholders to take a decision. So in construction, we can identify the trend, productivity, or the late approval, but also alignment of the stakeholders or the evaluation of a certain element in terms of root cause or in terms of the contractual impact. It is very, very important. So not just depending upon the data, at the same time looking at the quality of the data, how much reliability of the data is, making the assessment, looking at the dynamics of the information, and then taking a decision based on your risk management, your leadership, along with the stakeholders. These are the competencies which I would request the project managers upcoming to focus more on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Imran. So For the second question, maybe we have heard something about this question already here, because we are lucky and you are going very deep in the question. So, but I will place, because there is a second part on the question about the success for the future, not just in the next 5 years. So with a more big long term, let's say, okay. So with so much focus on technology and data, what's the one human or leadership skill you think construction project managers are underinvesting in today that will define success in the future? So if you want me to repeat, with so much focus on technology and data, what's the one human or leadership skills you think construction project managers are underinvesting in today that will define success in the future? So, Clarissa?
Okay, yeah, thank you, Angel. Let me tell you, the answer is very clear. We are focused on human leadership, and the institutions are focused on these humans. So not the authority and only the human and institutional leadership. Technology doesn't transform organizations and doesn't transform the project as well. So in government environments, I have seen excellent digital solutions fail because the humans were not aligned. So I've seen sophisticated systems rejected because the collaborators didn't trust them. I've been seeing resistance created not by technology but by fear of change. So as project managers, we spend years learning how to manage scope, cost, and schedules, but we spend far less time learning how to build trust. So how to create alignment across institutions, how to negotiate between technical experts, political leaders, regulators, citizens, and contractors. They are becoming our most strategic competencies. So especially in public infrastructure, because cities are no longer just building projects. So they are building confidence. And when we design permitting processes or also in all the project phases, because they're in the closing or controller or monitoring construction project, we have to attend these permitting processes. So we didn't starting by asking what AI tools should we use. We asked a much more important question. How should this entire system work if we're designing around citizens instead of bureaucracy? So only after refining the process, the technology become valuable. So this is our value proposition to detect risk earlier and support better decisions. But I have to summarize this. As a project manager, we have to be focused on the citizens, these human factors in construction projects.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Clarissa. Alexander, please.
Yes, and no need to repeat the question. I would say it's linked to the first question, by the way, quite substantially. Project managers should be able to prepare decision making and enable decision making by different stakeholders, even with diverging interests. So the data And the information which is more abundant now should be hidden when it comes to the higher level decision makers. So that should be digested by them. And they have to prepare everything which basically allows and presents it as an easier life for people sitting up. So they cannot hide behind, let's say, no time, do not understand, or too complex. Or they have to clarify sufficiently, and that's why I'm telling, prepare the decision making, and then obtain the decision, enable it, and then of course communicate it wide and down to whoever is to listen to it. The most important is that, but not by pushing up the information and data, hiding it and automating it. So enabling decision making, basically. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you. Levan, would you like me to repeat the question,
thank
or
you.
it's fine?
No need.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So, please.
I would stick to, let's say, my view that I expressed in the previous answer. So, as to me, this is the digital leadership. I will say shortly, but more concrete, that we all know that the projects are data driven, and success in the future, the trend is showing us that will depend less on mastering the individual softwares and tools, but more on aligning the multidisciplinary teams, managing the stakeholders' expectations, and making the most importantly timely decisions based on the digital information we own at the time. And while the technology is generating the insights, the total view of the data, the effective leadership itself, the digital leadership will transform all this insight and all this data into the successful project outcome. This is the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Levan. Thank you. So, Imran?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I have the question with me. And also for me, I do agree with Alexander and Levan. The most under-invested human skill is the decision leadership, and especially the stakeholder alignment. This is the most challenging elements which I face with my projects as well. So we often say the communication is important, and of course it is, but the communication alone is not enough. It's in construction, the real challenge is not just to share the information. The real challenge is to bring the stakeholders together in a timely, practical, documented, and commercially balanced decisions. So there are a lot of impacts on the project where it can be controlled, or sometimes it cannot be controlled. So the stakeholders need to be aligned, agree in order to move the project ahead. The project may have very good dashboards, beautiful pictures and photos, BIM models, AI alerts, but if the client, consultant, contractors, or authorities are not aligned, the project will still keep on suffering. So technology can show a drawing approval is late, or the productivity is going down, or a decision is affecting the critical path, but only the strong leadership can manage the discussion in a positive way, resolve the conflict, take accountability, and move with this decision forward. So I believe defining skill for the future construction project managers will be ability to lead decisions under pressure. So communication is not enough. The future PM must convert the communication into commitment, and the most valuable PM will be the one who can create alignment when the data is clear and the stakeholders are not. Thank you.
Thank you, Imran. Well, I could spend all the afternoon talking with you. Unfortunately, we have to adjust to our schedules, and so we have 5 minutes. It has been a pleasure to speak with you. For big thanks, Clarissa, Alexander, Levan, Imran. Really interesting, insightful, forward-looking conversation. well, one thing is clear: the future of construction project manager will be defined not just by technology. So uh, we will have people who drive the project forward. So thank you again for your insight and to be here and support us. Okay. So we are closing the event. And to close the Global Construction PM Conference of the year,